Welcome everyone to Art 204. My name is Emily Boss and I'm going to be your instructor for the next 8 weeks of class. I always like at the beginning of the class to send out a little overview of the course, and then each week I'll be doing an agenda video where we'll talk about the assignments going on, I'll talk about any feedback, all of that good stuff. So forgive me for today for getting this out a little bit later on in the day. I like to usually get these out in the morning. We run 2 Airbnbs. We actually live out in Nashville, so that's where we are. And I had to clean both of them today, and they were both really messy. So I've been cleaning all day. I've been finishing final grades for the last class and trying to get all of those done and submitted. So thank you for having a little bit of grace for me. I'm a little bit all over the place today. But I just want to introduce myself first before we dive into the class. So again, my name is Emily Boss. I've been teaching for Cal Baptist for, I think about 5 years now. This month, actually, I think today would be my 5th anniversary of teaching with Cal Baptist. So the Art 204, which is the basic drawing that we are in, the Art 202, which is art appreciation, as well as the Art 387, which is contemporary visual arts and culture. Those are all courses that I have developed for our ops department here, and I just really love this university. I love teaching. I love this online format. I grew up in Orange County, born and raised in California. I went to Villa Park High School. I went to the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising after that, where I got a degree in interior design, and I worked in the design industry for many years. And in the midst of that, the 2008 housing market crashed, and I was finishing my bachelor's degree at Cal State Fullerton in art history at the time, and that kind of transitioned me out of interior design for the time being and more into the art world. So I ended up graduating from Cal State Fullerton, getting married, and then a year and a half later moving to England with my husband, where I did my master's degree in art history with an emphasis in modern art, so really late 19th and then all of 20th century art is my specialty. So that's actually what I specialize in. But we had an amazing time getting to travel all over Europe for a while and getting really engrossed into that culture. And we came back. We stayed in California for a couple of years, and then we made the move out here to Nashville about 2.5 years ago, and we adore it out here. But that's just a little bit of who I am. This is one of my favorite classes to teach. It's not an easy class. People think, oh, I'll take basic drawing, it'll be an easy A. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun too. Keep a positive attitude throughout. I really like this because I feel like I get to be your cheerleader throughout. Sometimes students get really flustered and intimidated, and I just get to say, keep going, keep drawing. Remember, this is beginning. This is basic drawing. I'm not expecting any of you to be professional artists, even by the end of the course. But what I do guarantee you is that if you put the time in, you put the work in, you will 100% see improvement in your work from week 1 to week 8. It's the coolest thing to see. I always, love my husband is an artist as well, and I love showing him what students have done the first week compared to the last week. It's like a moment where we get to sit and cheer for all of you guys. Okay, so let's dive into the class. This announcement's a little bit longer just because I like to introduce myself and then go over the class in detail. If you are new to the ops department, the online professional studies, and you haven't taken an online class before, make sure you take some time to explore Blackboard and get used to this online format. Especially for a drawing class, you need to make sure that you have good access to either a decent camera, and you know what? An iPhone camera is perfectly acceptable for photographing your work and submitting it. If you have a printer that has a scanner attached to it, that's a really good way of submitting your work as well. But really take some time to make sure you understand how to scan or photograph, upload an image, and embed it into assignments. And we'll kind of revisit this throughout the class. And if you ever are having trouble, please email me and ask me a question. Okay, so this is our home page here. If we go ahead and take a look at the syllabus on the left side of the screen, we'll select that. and it's going to give you a course description. So we are a foundation course. We're developing perceptual and technical skills for effective drawing. This class presents drawing as an essential tool for visual expression. It may be repeated once for credit. And this course is also recommended for general education, which I'm assuming most of you are taking this as an elective course to fulfill that GE requirement. And it's a really fun one. So we'll skip through some of this. You can read this on your own. Here's my contact information. This is my phone number. This is my personal number, so please use it with discretion. Remember that I'm in Nashville. I'm Central Time, which means that when it's 8 p.m. your time, it's 10 p.m. my time. Really, the best way to get in touch with me is via email. So here's my email address, eboss@calbaptist.edu. I check my email daily. I do my very, very best to get back to you within 24 hours. Sometimes, because I'm human and I have about 5 jobs, which this is one of them, my emails, will fall through the cracks and I might miss it. If you don't hear back from me in 24 hours, just send me a follow-up email or a text and say, hey, Professor Boss, I emailed you. I hadn't heard anything back. I just wanted to follow up and make sure you got it. Most likely it's because, I was reading it while I was out running errands and thought, oh, I got to respond to them when I get back home, or I just somehow missed it. So make sure you follow up with me. Don't wait and say, oh, I emailed you last week and never heard from you. I'll say, I missed it somehow. So, just keep in touch with me that way and we'll have a little grace for each other there. Since I'm not in California, I don't have office hours. This is online by appointment only, meaning if you'd ever like to do a Skype call or FaceTime, I'm more than happy to do that. But I really prefer email because then we always have a record of our conversation and that we can both refer back to as well. But I'm accessible through many ways. Okay, required text and resources. So the campus store should be providing your text for you. I recommend getting your materials either if you haven't gotten them already, which hopefully you have by this point since class is starting today. But the materials can be bought on Amazon, or they could be bought, a lot of these at Michael's or another craft store. So make sure you read through this. You can get other brands of these types of supplies just as long as they're the equivalent. So you want to make sure you have a sketch pad that's roughly 5.5 by 8.5 inches, just so that you have enough room to really kind of get in there. If it's a tiny little sketch pad, that's not really going to work for what we need. And make sure in those Strathmore, those 400 series drawing pads, I'm trying to remember how many pages they have in them, but you're going to need at least one of those. So just make sure, and if you buy a smaller version of it and then halfway through the class you realize you need more, you'll just have to go buy yourself more drawing paper. If you have any questions about any of these materials, don't hesitate to ask me. Okay, it's going to go through course level objectives. You can read through this section on your own. And then it's going to have an assignment overview here. So we're going to be doing sketch journals almost on a weekly basis. This is to help develop even further those fine motor skills. So when children, for example, we're always, color, go, color outside the lines, draw, because we just want them to get used to using these, right? And developing those motor skills. And it's muscle memory. The more you draw, the easier it's going to be. And so these should only take about 15 minutes a day or so. It's just to kind of keep that hand busy and keep that, that brain to finger connection. We're going to have some copy assignments where we're going to be copying drawings of other artists. We're going to be, and those are all broken down for you. Now note that even though I have given some very basic overview of these assignments, they'll be given in more detail in each week's learning activities. So we have some create assignments where we will be creating our own original drawings. We have some discussions because art doesn't take place in a vacuum, and I don't want you guys to just be drawing by yourself and not interacting with each other. So we'll have some discussion boards. We'll also have some critiques and assessments where you'll get to share your work with your peers and cheer each other on. We do have a vocabulary quiz technically, but I usually don't end up even doing this. I kind of just take it out. Can't guarantee that, but we'll see. And then you have a critical assignment, which is going to be done in 4 parts. And so this will require just a quick 2 to 3 page written response, and then you're going to be creating 3 different drawings for this. So going back up to your textbooks here, because I realized I just kind of skipped over that, we are using a textbook and a workbook by a woman named Betty Edwards, which happens to be my grandmother's name and maiden name, which is kind of funny. But she is brilliant. She presents this text from the perspective of opening up that right side of our brain, so that creative side of our brain. And I've selected these textbooks very specifically for this class and for this university because I know a lot of you, the students I tend to have, the things you guys are majoring in, tend to be very logical, systematized, left brain type activities. And so I found that these texts are really helpful in helping us access that right side of the brain and just changing the way you're thinking about how you would go about learning how to draw. So make sure that you do the reading because she's going to give you some really good tips and advice on how to open up that right brain and just some really practical methods for learning how to draw. And I can always tell the students who do the reading and apply those techniques and that advice versus the ones who don't. So it's a really good aid for you and it's really easy read. Okay, going back down, where were we? So this is your assessment policies and your point distribution. So this is going to show you how we break down the points. Again, anything that's here in the syllabus is liable to slightly shift and change based on the class and based on how the class is going overall. So sometimes this will change a little bit. Again, really rely on those learning activities each week opposed to the syllabus, just because that's where we're going to really outline exactly what we'll be doing on a weekly basis. We do plus minus grading here, so just keep that in mind. There's a course schedule here. You'll notice that it's, oh goodness, this should have been fixed. Normally all your work is due Sunday nights at midnight, so this should all be day 7, and I should go in and change that. I apologize. It's been a while since I've taught this class. I like to give you from Monday, which is day 1 of class, to Sunday, which is day 7 of class, at midnight to get your work in. So that's how it is all 7 weeks. And then on the 8th week, that does change. Your work is due on day 5 and day 6. And that is because the class ends on a Sunday night at midnight, and Monday at 4 p.m., we as instructors have to submit your final grades. So it gives us less than 24 hours to do so, which means that I need that weekend to actually take my time looking at those final projects and getting those grades done so that I can give them an appropriate amount of time. You put a lot of time and work into them. I want to make sure that I'm reflecting that in my feedback and how I grade them. Okay, it's going to talk about professionalism. Again, we do our best to get back to you within 24 hours. We try to make sure small assignments are back to you within 72 hours and larger projects within a week. I always tell my students I usually will have everything back to you by Fridays. That's usually my goal. That way you can apply any feedback I've given for that last week's assignments to the assignments that you're turning in Sunday at midnight. Now, late assignments. The typical late penalty here is 10% of the total point value for each day the assignment is late. Now, I do that on purpose, and it seems a little harsh, but I want you guys to practice good time management because it's going to take your stress levels down and it will boost your enjoyment of this class. If you are waiting till Sunday at 6 p.m. to start your drawing assignments, you're going to be stressed. Your assignments are not going to live up to the caliber that I know they can, and you're not going to enjoy yourself. So really go from, start on Monday, look at that agenda, and schedule out some time each day to do a little bit of drawing. So this is drawing. Some days it's going to flow. Other days, not so much. It's just the nature of the beast. So make sure that you're giving yourself some time and giving yourself some grace that, you know, if you start an assignment on Wednesday night and you're an hour and a half in and you're just, this is just isn't working for me, then make sure you've given yourself some time on another evening to finish that up. And, you know, sometimes you'll bang out assignments and other times it just takes a little bit longer. So give yourself some good time management here. Now, all that being said, life happens. I was cleaning up vomit in the house today, and it was not fun, and it was not how I expected my day to go. Your kids might be sick. You might get in a car accident. You might have a crazy deadline at work. I understand. And I just expect you to communicate those things to me. So if you get to Sunday night and you're thinking, oh, I just have not been able to get everything done this week, this is what's been going on, send me an email before your assignments are due. And 9 times out of 10, I will grant you an extension. I will not, however, grant extensions when you email me after your work is already late, and or if you submit it the next day and it's half done and you say, I just didn't have time to get it done this week. And I'll say, you know what, you should have emailed me, because I would rather give you an extension and have you be proud of your work than have you submit something that you don't feel good about in this class. Other classes where it's mostly writing assignments, not so much. I don't have as much grace. But because this is drawing, you know, just keep in contact with me, and we most likely will be able to work things out. Okay, it's going to talk about netiquette. So, you know, the whole idea of online education and how we want to make sure we have good etiquette there, and academic honesty. This is actually quite important for this class. Don't trace. It just doesn't benefit anyone. It doesn't benefit you at all, because then you're not really learning how to draw at all. You're not getting any good out of this class. There are a couple times here and there where I'm going to ask you to trace some things, like in the first week, but you know what? Most of the time, it's not worth it, okay? So don't do it. Usually I can tell, because when it goes from one thing and then you're doing a self-portrait and your self-portrait isn't matching how well you traced another portrait, I can tell. So it's not worth it. And it's not worth it because I'm not going to grade you because I think you're going to be a professional artist and expect you to be at that caliber. I'm going to grade you on whether or not you did the work and how you're improving week to week, okay? So just let's not do it. There's a section on students with disabilities. You can talk to dss@calbaptist.edu if there are any special allowances that you need. Okay, that is our syllabus. So that is the class as a whole. Now I expect you to jump into the learning activities and go to the week 1 learning activities, and then we will have an agenda video for that week specifically. If you have any questions just about the class in general, don't hesitate to ask, and I'm so excited to start working with you guys.